Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to Robert's Sports Show. I'm your host, Robert. Alright, figured I'd do a little reaction from the NASCAR Hall of Fame announcement today. Apparently there's some people that have some issues with some things. So I'm going to run down the Hall of Fame ballot and where the issues lie. So the modern ballot, you select two of the following: Neil Bonnet, Tim Brewer, Jeff Burton, Carl Edwards, Harry Gant, Harry Hyde, Jimmy Johnson, Chad Knaus, Larry Phillips, Ricky Rudd. Neil Bonnet was an 18 race winner in NASCAR, including consecutive Coca-Cola 600s. Tim Brewer was a two-time NASCAR champion crew chief. Jeff Burton won 21 races in the NASCAR Cup Series with a Southern 500 and two Coca-Cola 600s. Carl Edwards was 28 Cup Series wins and 2007 Xfinity Championship. Harry Gant, 18 NASCAR Cup Series wins. Harry Hyde, the 1970 NASCAR Cup Series Championship crew chief. Jimmy Johnson, 7-time champion, 5 in a row, 7 out of 10 years, one of the greatest champions in NASCAR history. His crew chief, 7-time champion crew chief, Chad Knaus. A 5-time weekly racing national champion, Larry Phillips. And then Ricky Rudd, who won 23 times in the NASCAR Cup Series. Jimmy Johnson and Chad Knaus were voted in among those 5. Jimmy Johnson got 93% of the votes, while Chad Knaus got 81. So the 65 voters on the committee, 61 voted for Jimmy Johnson. So 4 did not. And then, let's see here. It looks like 52 voted for, 52 of the 65 voted for Chad Knaus. Apparently there's a lot of people, some of the actual voters, so their opinion matters a lot, that have a problem that Jimmy Johnson wasn't 100%. So those 4 voters made it where Jimmy wasn't 100%, and apparently a lot of people have an issue with, including Denny Hamlin, among others. He got in. He's a Hall of Famer. And people are demanding to know who those 4 voters are. I'm sorry, if I was on the Hall of Fame committee, I wouldn't want everyone to know who I voted for. Because then what's the point of having a closed-door meeting? Have it open to the public. Have it televised. If you're going to just release the information, why not put a camera in there, record it all, throw it up on Peacock? It needs to be anonymous. I like the fact it's anonymous. A handful of media members have shared their ballot. That's on them. I don't think of the 65 people who were in that room that we're going to know all 65 of them, and that's fine. We shouldn't. I agree Jimmy Johnson and Chad Knaus should have went in. But you can make a case for a Harry Hyde, a Tim Brewer, Harry Hyde. Yes, he only won 1 championship as a crew chief. Jimmy Johnson, or Chad Knaus had 7. But he was inventive in his time. The way Harry Hyde, I don't say skirted the rule book, but worked outside the rule book. The way Tim Brewer worked outside the rule book. The way Gary Nelson worked outside the rule book. The way Ray Abraham, the mentor of Chad Knaus, worked outside the rule book. The way Chad Knaus worked outside the rule book. That inventiveness came down the pipeline of different crew chiefs over the era. Not saying it's right or wrong, I'm just saying that's where I could see was where people would think. I don't have a problem with being 93%. I don't care to know who the 4 are. On the Pioneer ballot, you had to pick one of the following: Donnie Allison, a 10-time NASCAR Cup Series winner, including 1967 Rookie of the Year. Sam Ard, a 2-time NASCAR Xfinity Series champion, with 22 wins, still 12th all-time in that series. The winner of the 1972 Daytona 500, among a total of 7 NASCAR Cup Series races. The great A.J. Foyt. Banjo Matthews. He was a car owner, car builder. His cars are credited with at least 250 NASCAR Cup Series wins and 3 championships. But in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, even into the 90s, there were so many rolling chassis that were Banjo Matthews chassis that who knows what that number really is, because you could have had a chassis that was built by Banjo Matthews, sold to Junior Johnson, it could have been, say 75. He could have sold it to inner team here, who could have sold it, where those teams could have won, and it wasn't recognized as a Banjo Matthews chassis. Ralph Moody, the mechanical genius behind Homer Moody, one of the greatest NASCAR teams in his era, two-time NASCAR Series car owner champion. When I did my video about the Hall of Fame, I picked Sam Hart, two-time Xfinity Series champion, 22 wins. The ballots came out. It was Donnie Allison, 53%, followed by Banjo Matthews. I would say of these 5, AJ Foyt to me is not a NASCAR Hall of Famer. When I think of AJ Foyt, I think of IndyCar, World of Outlaw, USAC. He is in every Hall of Fame there is. I don't think he has a place in the NASCAR Hall of Fame, but some people think he does, so he's on the ballot. But you know what? I'm fine with Donnie Allison. The entire Alabama gang is now in the Hall of Fame. I think that helped Donnie get in with his 10 wins and that Rookie of the Year, because the fight in 1979 Daytona 500, we still talk about it today. The fact that the Alabama gang, Donnie Allison, Bobby Allison, Neil Bonnet, Red Farmer, Davey later on in life. The Landmark Award. Janet Guthrie, Alvin Hawkins, Lisa France Kennedy, Dr. Joseph Mattioli, and Les Richter. It depends on the age of the voters, I believe. Because you look at Dr. Joseph Mattioli, he was the founder of Pocono Raceway, him and his wife. Lisa France Kennedy, NASCAR Executive Vice Chairwoman, one of the most influential women in sports. Her grandmother is the only woman before this year to win this award. Alvin Hawkins, he was NASCAR's first flagman. He established NASCAR racing at Bowman Gray Stadium with Bill France Sr. When Chocolate Myers was talking about this very thing on Trading Paint, he talked about Alvin Hawkins being the right-hand man for Bill Sr. And then Janet Guthrie, the first female to compete in NASCAR Super Speedway race, the first female to compete in Daytona 500 and the Indianapolis 500. Matter of fact, I did a driver profile about Janet Guthrie, so definitely go check that out. Overall, I think they got it right. Jimmy and Chad went in together. I don't think they even had to go together for the first ballot. It didn't need to be unanimous. I'm fine with 93%. I don't care who those 4 voters are. Donnie Allison made the Hall of Fame. Great for him. Was a fan of Bobby Allison growing up. The Landmark Award, the more I learn about Janet Guthrie, the more I realize she's well deserved. Any of these 5 would deserve it. But yeah, that's just my reaction to the Hall of Fame and everything that's been talked about today. Again, I think they got it right. First ballot, Jimmy and Chad. I don't think it mattered them going in together, because Dale Inman and Richard Petty not going together. But you know what? NASCAR just created their Hall of Fame, so it's going to take time to get all the quote legends in there and people that should be in there from the past, because you started to have guys from now, like the Jimmys and the Chads, the Jeff Gordons, retire. And so it's like if you look at the all-time win list, I think that matters. I also think that the other series should matter a little bit more. It's the NASCAR Hall of Fame, not the NASCAR Cup Series Hall of Fame. I just think there's a little bias versus the Xfinity and the Truck Series. But that's just my opinion. Now, obviously, the inaugural Hall of Fame class was in 2010. And so, obviously, the first class, you had to have so many people in history. Dale Earnhardt, Bud Francis, Junior Johnson, Petty, makes sense. Bobby and Ned, David Peterson, Lee Petty in the second class. And you had Dale Inman going into the third class with DWKL, Richie Evans, one of the great modified drivers of all time. And then you had some of the champions, the Buck Bakers, the Cotton Owens, Herb Thomas, Leonard Wood definitely should be there. You had Jack Ingram. He was the first Xfinity champion, a 2-time champion. And that's kind of where I was kind of put off by about Sam Ard not getting there, because Jack Ingram, a 2-time Xfinity champion with 31 wins. But yet, Sam Ard is two-time champion with 22 wins. Maurice Petty, because it was crew chiefing, engineering, and building. Yeah, I get that completely. And then Bill Elliott, Rex White, Wendell Scott, definitely he needed to be in there. Jerry Cook, the Bobby Isaacs of the world. We had Richard Childress, yeah, definitely. Raymond Parks, the first ever NASCAR car owner, NASCAR champion car owner. That one was a little iffy on me because yes, he was the first, but they only had 2 wins that year. Benny Parsons, definitely his announcing alone, let alone his driving career, one of the greatest announcers. The first ever champion there, Red Byron, made it in 2018. He was also the 1948 modified champion, which is the very first year that NASCAR sanctioned. So yeah, I mean, yes, because of that, I could see him there. Ray Abraham, he was so much of an ingenuity. Robert Yates, of course. Davey's the only one that I was like, because what I think, and I actually tweeted this out yesterday and got a reply back from Dave Moody, and he kind of disagreed with me, which is fine. I call the show all the time, and I love to be able to throw things off of him. I think if you won a championship in NASCAR's top 3 series, you should be in the Hall of Fame. He disagreed with that, and his example was, what if somebody comes in and races 1 season in NASCAR, wins the championship? Should they be in the Hall of Fame? Well, we put Red Byron in the Hall of Fame, and he won 2 races in the first championship. Only raced a very few years. He was the inaugural champion. Does that make it better or worse? So it's like you see examples of, yeah, at the time maybe that was the best option, but there's no perfect Hall of Fame. The Baseball Hall of Fame is not perfect. The NFL is not perfect. But overall, I think they got it right. The right people. The people that this committee puts on as a nominee, they are all Hall of Famers based on things they've not only done on the track, but off the track and out in the fans and stuff, and things they've done to grow the sport. And that's the biggest thing, is to grow NASCAR. NASCAR started out as a Southern Carolina bootlegger sport, to a Southern sport, to a worldwide sport, to what we have here in 2023. We can race anywhere. The world is our racetrack. But that's just my reaction to the 2024 NASCAR Hall of Fame final ballot today. As always, thanks for watching Robert Sports Show, and don't just have a great day. Have a stuffy day. Robert Sports Show, your YouTube leader for sports talent content.